Hello again. I thought I'd just make a quick video to show some of my painting gear. In my efforts to make, I think what people call a wet palette, I originally made this when I made this paint rack of mine using old CD spindle covers, and this didn't work very well because obviously the paint is just very deep in the containers. The paint didn't dry out, but as I said, it's just far too deep to reach the paint. So what I then made was this. We would have the paint in the bottom there, and I would put the lids became the holders, and the holders became the lids. But I found that with this, my paint was always drying out. So after seeing a video, one of the other chap's video on a wet palette, decided I didn't have the greaseproof paper to do the way they did it, and also that I think having these little containers is a better idea to actually hold the paint instead of just blobs on a piece of greaseproof paper. So I've got the wet tissue paper in the bottom and just a piece of cardboard on top to give it some base. So now what I'm going to do is I'll have this will live in here when not being used, and hopefully the moisture in the tissue paper will be enough to offset any evaporation on the paint. So hopefully that's going to work. I've just cleaned this out as best I could to put in a new batch because the paint was drying and there was bits of, dried paint, sort of like forms like palms, and gets clogs on your brush and all the rest. So I just decided to scrap all the paint that was in there, clean the whole thing out, and sort of start afresh. So while I'm on this, I thought I'd just show you some of my brushes. Originally what I was using for miniature painting was a range of sort of local craft brushes, 000 and 000, but synthetic because of obviously they're a lot cheaper than proper good brushes, but they just couldn't hold their tips. I think they called it hooking. The tips were just hooking all the time. So after that I did some investigation and I found these. These are actually, they say, amongst the best brushes you can get. So I should have got them a bit more wider space. I just got the 2 and a 30, which are very much the same in size, but it's good to have two of the same size, so if you paint in, you just do a little mistake, you could just use a second brush just to grab another color just to touch up as you're going along. So I got those, and then as I've now found out, one of the downfalls about buying online or over the phone is that people's ideas of things are not the same as yours. So when I spoke to the lady at the suppliers I got these from and wanted some of the bigger sizes, which ended up very expensive, I asked for the next cheaper option, and they came up with these. I don't know if you can even see that. These are synthetic, but supposedly, again, I'm not sure what to believe, but they say these are the best synthetics you can get. But when I asked her the size comparison, she said no, the two ranges are very much in the same size. But what I ended up was, brushes that are just leaps and bounds bigger than the smaller ones. But anyway, at least these synthetics are holding their tips. So these are the 4 brushes I really use for painting my miniatures. And to sort of back those up, I have a couple of cheap, I think what they're hog's hair, I think they are. Hog's hair, just cheap sort of hobby artist brush, general artist brushes that I use for sort of bigger things on miniatures or on my tanks or whatever. Don't hold good tips, but they're fairly good brushes, and they seem to be holding up. As I say, I bought those in a big set, and I got this whole range of brushes that I've used a couple for the little bit of dry brushing I've done, and for cleaning, brushing away sand and odds and ends. I haven't really used these much, so I've got still, as you can see, most of them are basically still brand new. And then sort of all my brushes for applying glue and goop and all that. It's a couple of I think again hog's hair brushes that I found in a box when I got everything when my father passed away. But those are slowly wearing out, and then I bought some really cheap synthetic, these black ones. But they're good enough for applying glue and goop and things like that, so that's what I use those for. But anyway, I just hope this wet palette idea is going to work out. But anyway, we'll just have to see how it goes. And there's my magnifier and my lamp. Without these, there would be no chance of me painting a 15mm miniature. As it is, even with this, I don't do very well, but without it, I wouldn't have any chance. Okay, till next time, keep well, bye now.